All right, hey, welcome back.
Hey. It's just whenever you do that, it's goofy as hell. I don't know. You're like
it makes me want to say like
a game show announcer.
I'm Ricky.
Yeah. Are you Ricky? Wait, I'm confused.
I am. It's one of your gracious hosts, Ricky. Anyway, Lane, you know what show I've been watching recently?
Well, last I heard you were watching Breaking Bad. Although this morning you said you were playing Stellaris. So.
Yes. Well, I went down a small rabbit hole because I was trying out like different
ways to procrastinate watching this movie.
yeah, essentially. I don't know. Paradox is having like a huge sale. It was like 70% off. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll try it out. And like I was like, if I don't like it after like the 2 hours, I can refund it. I wasn't gonna refund this game. I just went down a rabbit hole with it. I don't know. It's good. It's good. It scratches like the Total War itch, but it's not like the same thing every time. Anyway, something new. But no, I've been watching Breaking Bad, and I am just now getting to season 5. No, I've never seen Breaking Bad before. I'm just now getting to season 5, and
yeah, tell me about it.
There's a lot going on.
There is. It's true.
Heavy spoilers for Breaking Bad if you haven't watched it yet, right? I know it's been like 15 years or maybe 20, but I hadn't watched it.
That many. It's been like 15. Yeah.
Or maybe like 10. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I I never watched it, so it's great to experience some of the scenes that I've only known from memes, and it's like, in a way, it sort of reflects what the original mission statement of this podcast was. To like find movies that were in touch with the cultural zeitgeist and have like memes about them or whatever. I don't know. So like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. I'm not reaching too far with that one. I don't know.
Get to the point. We all know why you're bringing.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck.
Season 5
you're right. I'm sorry. Dude, I know. I'm so tired. My bad. Breaking Bad. Jesse Plemons. Season
He's
5.
In that show.
Todd. Jesse Plemons puts on a performance.
One of the performances of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Jesus. And I was talking to my friend Zach about this, and he was like, yeah, everyone was like, oh, like, what the fuck? Like, who is this guy? Like, where is he coming from? And now, like, he's going to watch movies, like, just because Jesse Plemons is in it.
Really? Oh, is
Civil
there a
War.
hive?
So he is a fan. I only figured this out, like, last night. But he and his fiance, soon-to-be wife,
shout out wives.
I'm excited. Shout out wives. They're going to watch Civil War, or well, I think they're watching The Neighbors or something this weekend.
Oh yeah, okay. Game Night might be the movie you're thinking of.
Game Night. Okay.
Are we talking like Jesse Plemons specific movies?
No.
I was like, Neighbors. What movie is he in called Neighbors?
No. Like it's just a movie that is in theaters because they were considering Civil War. They didn't want me to spoil it because they're probably going to still see it in theaters if it's still out. I don't know. Anyway.
It is, but interesting. Neighbors. I have not heard of. I mean, If, Challengers. Those are like the big ones this week. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. I don't know. Not watching If. Ryan Reynolds. Ugh.
Pass. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
However, do you want to do a quick breakdown of Todd?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I like his character a lot. He plays like Jesse Plemons plays the quirky weirdo a little too well, you know?
As we've talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like an innocent psychopath about him, right? Yeah. What is that face? What?
He walks a fine line, as we've talked about in DMs here over the last few days. Like, he walks a fine line between like fellow dad at the PTA or 4chan neo-Nazi, depending on how much weight and facial hair he has.
Right, and that's like definitely how he was introduced in Breaking Bad.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's cool to see him age out of that.
But that's not what he. But he looks more like it now. He looks more like his Todd.
I don't know. Well, yeah, he's not fully Toddified, right?
No, Toddified.
Right?
Toddify, my favorite music listening streaming service.
Shout out Toddify. Sponsor us, maybe.
Yeah. Please. But no. For Kinds of Kindness, the new Yorgos Lanthimos movie, who did Jiminy Cricket. What is the name of that fucking movie that Emma Stone was just in last year? My guess.
I thought you were going to say Jiminy Cricket. I thought Jiminy Cricket was the end of that. Was the answer to that question.
Yeah, his last movie, the Jiminy Cricket. No,
You're
Poor
like,
Things.
Jiminy Cricket, right. Oh, right, yeah.
The director of Poor Things.
A lot of controversy around that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that movie.
All right. Wow.
But that director's new movie, Kinds of Kindness, is coming out soon, and Jesse Plemons is like second billed in that movie below Emma Stone, which is interesting. So depending on how good that movie is, maybe he gets some awards attention. Who knows? But
okay,
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It looks a little quirky, derogatory for my tastes, but
sheesh.
Yeah, but we'll see. Well, I'm glad you got to season 5 of Breaking Bad, and I like that you preface that with
It's
major
really
spoilers,
good.
major spoilers, major spoilers.
Major spoilers.
Jesse
I don't want
Plemons
to say
is in
anything
that
about the show.
All you said is that he's
I don't know.
in it.
He was kind of a jump scare. He was a jump scare. I didn't.
He's only a
expect
jump
him.
scare because you didn't expect him, and you know who he is.
Right, but it's like, Lane. I don't know. Do you remember when you first recognized like an actor outside of their like original role?
You mean like the first time I saw someone went back and watched somebody in like an older movie that they were in or something, or like
Well,
versus
just,
their.
No. I mean, just in general, just like when you were like first watching stuff, and you're like, oh, like this is like the same guy, right? I get that every time. I'm like, oh my god, and like, especially, I don't know, it just doesn't happen with me very often, I guess. So like, this is like very momentous.
Yeah, that's because
occasion.
the only reason you remember that actor's name is because I'm saying it every other week on this podcast and also in your DMs. Whereas like other actors, you have no, you have no object permanence for.
Yeah, kind of a shame, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Anyway, I'm just going to say I actually used to have those headphones for work. And
The
they
ones
were like
I'm
the
wearing?
best pair of headphones I ever worked. Yes, the ones you're wearing.
I got these from my
haven't
work.
seen it. Yeah. I have not seen it in like high enough def before to be able to like
to
actually
realize them?
recognize the
Yeah.
headphone. And then I was like,
Oh shit!
because like I saw it from the side, and I was like, I know that. Like
Yeah.
I know that familiar circle. Yeah, so good actually, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I got them from my old workplace, and then I kept them when I left, and then now I wear them all the time. And then when I interact with people at that old workplace over Zoom, and they're wearing the same headphones, I'm like, clocked. Like I see you.
Does it have like the little like hook stand too? Do you like
Oh, I don't.
like,
If
take the
if
headphones
it.
and you like put it down?
Oh,
it
no.
like charges on there? No.
No. These are micro USB.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The ones at work had like the little charger, and like they were crazy. I don't know. There's got to be an office model or something for them out there, but like the commercial model is like $260, and they're just not the same. They're just slightly different, and I don't want to get them.
You're valid.
Yeah, it's so much money. Like I don't know. I'm
I
fine
understand.
with my
Your
gaming
headset. Your headset you couldn't get to fucking work like 5 minutes before we recorded this podcast.
Yeah. I feel like that was a laptop error. It's a
User error. It's a skill issue.
Yeah, picnic, problem in chair, not in computer.
Boo. Introduce our podcast.
This is We Want to Watch. I'm Ricky.
I'm Lane.
Welcome back.
What is the premise of this show?
I mean, really, it's just to get me more cultured in movies and to watch movies that we want to watch.
Oh shit, is that what this podcast is about? Well,
shit.
I wish I had known that going into this movie because I picked the wrong movie. I did a bad job on the pick, I think. This
I
week's
don't
movie
know.
was Blow Up from 1966, directed by Michelangelo Antonioni. This was Elaine's frame. Go ahead, Ricky.
I don't think I really like got this movie. I don't know.
I don't think there was much to get in this movie.
Okay, like was this supposed to be like a comedy? Like was it supposed to be a sort of I like question about humanity? They leave it sort of open ended. Like what
Yeah,
is?
I definitely okay. So the reason I suggested this movie is because I've seen the movie that like basically remade it, like 20-ish or whatever years later, called
Okay.
Blowout, which is made by an American director. This movie, predates it. It's from the 60s. Like, I definitely think this movie's supposed to be about stuff. Like, I think, it's very clearly supposed to kind of make you question, like, what's it mean to, take pictures and, like, capture a moment in time and, like, revisiting your memories and, what's real, what isn't, and, like, all of those types of things. And there's obviously being set in London, like, during the whole, like, swingin' 60s thing. Like, I think there's kind of questions about hedonism and an empty lifestyle and like counterculture and everything. I think all of those are like what this movie's going for. But Jesus Christ, it takes so long to get there, and there's a whole lot of like nothing in between long stretches or in long stretches between something that's actually being said.
Right. I think I missed out on a lot of that. I didn't really get the like time period portion of that, I guess. Like where it is I don't know, like the 1960s countercultural revolution. Okay, maybe a dumb question. Is this like around when the Beatles were coming out? Like what?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Like a
Okay.
couple years before the Beatles, right? I want to say.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't fuck with
Hmm.
that band. But yeah, because the Beatles split. I think they were from like the 50s to the late 60s, or not.
From the 50s?
No. Sorry. I'm looking it up now. I want to say they were like
Okay.
1965, like right before this movie,
Oh,
to like
okay.
69. I think is when they broke up. But I'm checking that now. No,
Oh.
okay. So apparently their first like whatever. Their first record came out in 63, and then they broke up in 70. So yeah, so like right smack in the middle of
Sheesh.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, yes, that is your
Okay,
that
that's
should
like a good
inform. Yeah.
reference frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I I do have to agree with you though. A lot of like nothing in this movie.
Yeah.
It kind of lost me in a couple of places for that. I don't know, because like the story doesn't seem like too. And again, I think I made like I don't know if I'm missing something. It doesn't seem too like clever or like too involved or intricate. Like it's not set up in the same way that like Playtime was, right?
Yeah, no, those are very different movies. But elaborate on what you mean by
Right.
that.
Shout out Playtime, by the way.
Shout out
Um,
Playtime. Go listen to that episode and watch that movie. Maybe just watch that
like
movie. Don't watch or listen to that
just
episode.
yeah, maybe just only watch that movie. Don't watch this movie. Don't even listen to the rest of this pod. Just
Yeah,
like
just
watch.
turn this off. Yeah, we're kind of. I'm already checking the
No, so
time.
like
No.
yeah, no. Playtime was like really well. I mean, obviously really well directed. But there was always a lot going on. But it never felt like cluttered. I mean, until it did. But like, especially in the beginning, right? It never felt like too cluttered or chaotic. Everything felt very sort of like ordered.
Sure.
Even in chaos. And then in this movie, like even the sort of like non-chaotic scenes felt like really chaotic and disjointed almost. And like not to like an effect, right? Just like in general. Intentional? I don't know.
Yeah, I think this movie suffers from, first off, it takes way too long to get going. Like, there's a good 30 minutes before he even gets to the park where he takes the pictures. And like
Right.
the lead up to that, you know, I got the idea, or like I had the feeling that it was those opening 30 minutes were kind of like setting the stage of like really understanding this guy, and we're gonna see him like psychologically deteriorate in the back half because he's treating all these people terribly. He's a dick. He's kind of just chasing, you know, things on a whim. He's obviously like got this ennui thing going on. But then when the mystery kind of picks up, he just, you don't get a lot of sense of like interiority in this guy, and like the questions asked or raised by the conceit of like, okay, he's, you know, got these pictures and then he's trying to like figure out what they mean, and like maybe he's kind of like having his blood run cold from you know, realizing that there was something there that he wasn't aware of, like the things are deeper than he was aware of. That was really good. And then after that, it felt very chaotic and kind of disjointed, and I didn't ever get the sense of, like, there was no tension. It was just like he kind of, throughout the back half of the film, just like breezed from one, you know, party or like place where marijuana was being sold and consumed to another.
Right. Like nothing happened. Like nothing really of note, right?
Yeah, there's not a lot of plot to this movie, for sure. And I wouldn't even mind that if we got more of a exploration of him, but it felt like all of the scenes after, you know, like after he visits the park and sees the body,
Right.
it feels like there's no attention
It's just
paid to
nothing.
his psychology or like how he's experiencing the world. It's just like, here's the world, make your own interpretation of it, which maybe that's the point, but it's not a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if that is the point, I didn't get it. Like again, like
I think that's
I don't
what I mean.
know.
I think there's nothing to get. I think this movie is intentionally so open ended, but it's not. It's not a good open. It's not good opening.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess if it's open ended, it's open to everyone's interpretation. So like, it's not that I'm necessarily like wrong in like perceiving certain things as just being like, I don't know, maybe not worthy of time. Like, I don't know. I guess like saying like, oh, like nothing happened. It's just because like nothing interesting happens. Nothing interesting is shown, and like generally when you're watching a movie, you expect, I don't know, even like low tension scenes like are still interesting. Like you still want to be watching them.
Yeah.
And this movie just kind of loses itself. I don't know. I guess to the point where I don't know if I really want to be watching it. Like I don't know.
No, I like I said, I regret not just watching the one that I had seen before again, because that movie fucks. That movie I really like, and it has grown on me since I watched it the first time. And that movie is a thriller.
Sure.
This
So
movie
how
is
do
not a
they-
thriller. Yeah.
Right. Definitely not. Yeah.
No.
How do they handle it differently? If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, so that movie is it's by Brian De Palma, who directed The Untouchables. I'm trying to think of like other movies that you would know. He did the first Mission Impossible. He's done like
yeah,
yeah.
that's a really good one. Yeah.
he did Carrie, which you and I watched together with Lucy and Christopher. Shout out
Oh
those two.
shit. Wait, that guy's kind of goated then. What the fuck?
Yeah, Scarface, another one you might have heard of. But he's
I mean,
also
haven't
directed
seen
a
it,
bunch
but yeah, of course I've heard of it.
Yeah, he's also he's kind of like a newer, like he was like a 70s, 80s, 90s guy. He doesn't really make movies that much anymore, but kind of like his whole thing, especially in the beginning of his career, was like making kind of like noir, like updated sexed up takes on Hitchcock. Not like Hitchcock movies are already sexed up, but like taking it to a more explicit kind of direct, obvious, like, and his like he just paid a lot of like homage to Hitchcock, like the way he shoots his movies, like literally shooting them, just very similar. Anyway, So Blowout kind of takes the premise of this movie, but translates it to audio. And so instead of like blowing up a picture, you're blowing out your mic. That's the idea. And so that's John Travolta. He catches like an attempted murder or a murder. I actually can't remember. It's been a few years, but on audio. He's like an audio engineer. And that movie is like much more to the point, much faster paced, and there's a lot more going on there. And and it's good. It's really good. So this I was expecting something a little bit more like that in this movie since I knew it was based on it, but very, very different.
Yeah, just not there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it could have, I mean, I feel like some of the more obvious, or like some of the long stretches of like, okay, there's nothing happening, but like what's going on, because we've watched other movies where nothing is happening during certain scenes, but it's evoking a certain mood or tone, or it's like kind of putting you on edge, or there's something going on.
Right.
And those stretches in this movie, I feel like added nothing. Like, especially, it was just long. It felt very long. Yeah, I'm talking myself into disliking this movie more.
I mean, but also having this so close to Letters
News from
from
Home.
Home.
Yeah.
News from Home. Fuck, I keep calling it Letters from Home. I'm such a troll, dude.
You gotta stop saying that. You gotta say something.
I gotta
other
stop
than
saying
a troll.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, but News from Home, like 2 movies ago, I mean, we watched it like last week. It's like, oh man, I don't know. It doesn't really stack up, right? In the ways that they're able to evoke emotions in. I mean, like, News from Home was much more minimalist in like how, I guess, like the
way it was
narrator
shot,
or the director,
Oh,
the
sure.
way it was shot. Yeah, like everything about it was like much more minimalist of an approach, but to like much greater effect, right? And this movie just like, I don't know. Again, like I don't know, like maybe it's just like it's a different form of art, right? Like maybe not.
I mean, no, I like that you're trying to give a concession to this movie. I think this movie's competently made. It's just not the movie.
Right.
I guess part of what I think, I'm sure if we had gone into this with a different mindset of what we were getting, or at least I feel like if I had gone into it with a different mindset, my expectations wouldn't have been so mismatched. But this just was not the movie I was, looking for, and I feel like not the movie that the premise has promised for. If that makes sense. Obviously, as borne out by like all of the movies, I think there's a ton of movies that are clearly like inspired by this. So I feel like, they're just good starting point, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like interesting, and like I hate to mention this again, but like you could probably remake this film today, right? And like it would even make more sense because you could like take a picture with your phone and then like later you'd be like, oh shit, like wait, look in the background.
that's what I mean. That's a whole like type of meme is like once you see it you shit bricks like that. That's what this movie is like created or inspired.
Yeah, I guess.
But
you think that's like a permutation of that? That's kind of crazy.
I mean, I don't think this movie is probably the first instance of like, there's something in a photograph you didn't notice the first time. But like, I mean, this is a very like well-regarded, influential movie. This director is very well-regarded. So, it's obviously like, it's got its bona fides, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the misogyny at play, like even though of course we're supposed to not empathize with this guy and think he's just a scumbag, but like I don't know, the long sequence of him like fooling around / sexually assaulting those 2 girls was really off-putting and slowed everything down. I don't want to see this guy fuck. I want to see him go investigate a murder. You know what I mean? Like,
it was for like 10 or 15 minutes too, and like. I don't know, really weird during stretches of it. He was like tossing him around. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
man. Like,
it was
like, let's
creepy.
calm it down.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
the subtitles too. They said like crying, sobbing, like
Yeah, I was like, ah, man.
yeah,
Let's come on.
yeah.
Yeah. Some of these are like awkward watches. I'll be honest with you.
Some of these
Like having it on
movies.
the TV. Somebody walks by, somebody hears it. It's like, ah, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just wait. We haven't
Oh,
tapped the real good stuff on the list yet. I don't think.
yeah. I was gonna say, like, as far as like hateful misogynist portrayals of men go, Naked, right?
I thought of Naked with this too. Like, what's wrong with
Right.
men in England?
Yeah. All a bit fucked in the head, isn't it? I don't know. I I just couldn't get it out. Like, I don't know.
Well, that movie is
I couldn't
so
get
much
that
better
movie
than
out
this
of my
one.
head.
Yeah,
Right. It's
yeah.
just better than this one.
It's impossible not to make a comparison to, because it's dealing with a lot of the same, like, bored guy who kind of like is sleazy but also has something going on. Obviously he's having like a struggle of conscience, and like there's crime and like worse things going on than what he's doing, but he's still doing shitty things. Like, yeah, I think it's a really natural comparison to draw, and I drew the same one.
Yeah.
But that movie's good, and this movie's
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah, this movie just feels outclassed. Like any comparison we can draw with it, it's just like, well, if you want the like really like good version of this, right? Go
you know what
watch.
this you know what the best part of this movie is? The very end.
What?
The ending. Not because it's ending, but just like I think it's a good ending. And Naked has a good ending too, but it doesn't kind of hit the same punch that this one does.
The like zoom out scene at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Well, and the mime. Obviously, the mime
Oh,
tennis match is incredible.
Yeah,
That's cool. I like that.
that was pretty cool. I don't know. The way it was shot was really interesting. Like the way they sort of
Yeah.
like tried to capture like following the
Yeah.
ball.
Well, right, it makes sense because that's the whole thing is like, what can you see? Did this thing happen that he thinks happened? Like all of that.
Right.
So I thought it was a good summation of those themes, and kind of like making you question, like, well, it looks like he sees it. You start hearing the tennis ball at the end, like, or whatever, like the sounds of them playing tennis right before he disappears off the screen when the end comes up. So I don't know. I think if the whole movie had been that good, it would have been a great movie.
Sheesh. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say you're wrong because you're not wrong. I don't know. Dude, just not great. Like, it failed to live up to what it could have been in a lot of ways. But
I don't.
I
I
don't know.
mean, even setting aside that I wanted this to be more of like a conspiratorial thriller,
Yeah.
I just don't think the things that it chooses to meditate on in lieu of that, like in lieu of like a plot where he's like running around and he finds out like she's cheating on her wealthy husband and her husband put out a hit on the lover, or like like whatever.
Right.
In lieu of that, if it had just been him kind of more reacting to things, or having like, again, like just the things that were or the scenes that were stuck with in lieu of that, just they're boring. I don't know. I try not to like just think a movie is boring, but I think this movie is just kind of boring.
Yeah. Also, this movie kind of taught me that no one in Britain like closes or locks their doors ever, and it's normal to just like knock and then like peek on in, or just poke around if you want. Go check out a couple shagging. It happens. So it's like, I don't know. They do that naked too. Like, apart from the guard, that's like, oh, like I guard this building. That's what I do. I guard. Like, like everyone else was like very sort of nonchalant about people just like waltzing on in, saying like, "Hey, I'm this person." It's like, I guess so. Like, I don't know.
I guess I'm thinking of like,
Culture shock.
yeah, I just wish that we had more on the photographer's instability or like kind of fractured psychology, and like
Yeah.
why he was so rattled by what he saw. Not that it wouldn't rattle you, but just like, well, because his initial reaction to seeing the body or the pistol and whatever in the image, he's like, I gotta call up my bud and be like, "Yo, I prevented a murder. Let's get this in the book." And which is like that's an interesting thing,
Well,
an interesting reaction to have. But then like,
well,
we don't
doesn't
get
he show
anything
it to
else.
the?
Yeah.
Doesn't he show it to the one woman first? He says like, "Hey, like," or no, 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 never mind. I'm trolling. No, no, never mind, never mind, never mind.
Stop saying you're trolling. Stop.
Dude, you're right. You're right. You're right. My bad.
You have been on the internet too much lately to
I
keep
know.
saying it like that.
I know.
But no, because like he makes the phone call to
Right.
his like publisher or whatever, his partner, and then
Yeah.
I mean they like you don't get any kind of like, why is he reacting that way, what leads him to go from this kind of like self-interested like, oh, I got this great photo and like I prevented a murder and isn't that great for my career, which you get that impression at first, but then he pivots to being rattled, which of course you're going to be rattled when someone breaks into your house, but like before that he doesn't, you know what I mean, like he there's nothing showing
he just
why
doesn't
he
give a
kind of
shit.
changes.
Yeah.
And so I would have liked more of that, I guess, to kind of snack on during this.
Yeah, or more like questioning of his own sanity during it, like whether or not things happened. Like playing more off of like the last scene, like you said, because they did like play that really well, right? And you could hit those same beats like even with the intruder or like making phone calls. What was like his a fucking band gig about? Like why was that included? I don't know.
Yeah, what did you make of that scene?
I didn't get. I guess it was to show that he was like temperamental, but I don't know. I didn't really get it.
I feel like
I didn't know why that was there.
I feel like it was tying into the counterculture kind of that he's immersed in, right? Like this, like they're all super uninterested in, like the performance, but then the moment that some violence happens, everybody whips into a frenzy, right? And so I feel like that's what that is there to kind of show, like, oh, this society is also nihilistic, just like him. This is the kind of the environment that he's raised in.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Okay,
even
I can see that.
he succeeds. He gets the little piece of the guitar, but then he just throws it onto the street because he is also just as bad as all of those other people. He doesn't really care. He doesn't want it. He just tosses it off.
Right.
But again, it leads to this like, first chunk of the movie, very boring, kind of repetitive. The middle chunk, when he blows up the photographs, that's actually pretty good. That like 10 to 15 minutes where he's like kind of schlunking around in his studio and he like blows them up, and like there's a good probably like 2 minutes where it's just like shots of the photographs just like cutting from one to the other, and you're kind of like making the connections and like seeing the things that he's seeing. That's really, really good. That's the most exciting part of the whole movie. But then after, and then he goes back to the park. He sees that the body's gone. He comes back. All of the stuff is gone from his apartment. And then it's just like vignettes after that. It's like little episodes of like, okay, he goes to the, he goes to the lady's house from the antique shop where, he walks in on him having sex. He goes to the band. He goes to the party. And then the movie ends. It's just it's not very it loses all the suspense that was built up by that middle chunk.
Right. And like I don't know, the beginning, like you can kind of forgive a movie for being slow in the beginning, especially like trying to draw you in, like introduce you to your character, yada yada, whatever. And like the middle, like you said, it's the most interesting part, right? Kind of gets you hooked. And then like kind of trying to chase that high for the rest of the movie, and I was just like, again, like I was just confused, like I didn't get like why the fuck that was going on, like anything. I don't know. I, and I do kind of get more of it now that you're like mentioning like the counterculture. It's like, oh, okay, like I could see why they would want to tie that in, throwing in the band scene. Um, I don't know why they really threw in him walking in with the woman having sex with her husband.
Maybe the same thing. Kind of
Counterculture?
counterculture. Yeah. Or like nihilism, because then he has the conversation with her where he's like, "Hey, why don't you leave him?" And she's like,
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, right. Like, okay. I guess. What do you think about this movie from like a? Is this a? I mean, is this movie meta? Not meta. That's like a dumb fucking reductive word to use for this, but like, the movie's obviously commenting on like things that the you're seeing after the fact within art.
Right.
Do you think, because like part of what makes the long stretches of uninteresting stuff so uninteresting to me is it feels kind of amateurish. That's like, I sound like I'm an expert in these things, but like like the scene of him chasing the two girls around the studio, right? It's like kind of frantic.
Yeah.
It seems kind of like sloppy. It's not like the rest
Definitely
of the movie.
like multiple takes, sort of like cut together.
Maybe, yeah. But like, I'm thinking, like, is there more going on there that we're supposed to be thinking about than like, is there more going on in this movie? Like do you know what I mean? Like centered around the fact that the plot of this movie is looking for something hidden in the frame.
Right.
Not that I think there's like secretly like hidden Easter eggs or whatever, but like, is that what this movie's going for?
No, I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think I get this movie, right? And I feel like there has to be more to it for it to be so critically acclaimed.
I think also it could just be it's the 60s, right? Like it was foundational for like, right? Because
For like
I
its
do think
time, right?
yeah, right? Like this
Yeah.
movie, I mean, it plays modern, right? Like it
Right.
plays much
Yeah.
more modern than like Playtime did, for example, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
contemporaneous. And it's pretty transgressive, right? You see boobs. There's like smoking weed, and whatnot on screen. So that
Did
could
they
be part of
drink?
it.
Did they drink alcohol? I don't really
Yeah, they were
recall.
drinking at that party. Yeah,
Okay. All right. So yeah, whole
and at
nine
the
yards.
yeah, yeah, and at the restaurant scene. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess yeah. If this movie is like supposed to be commentary, now you and I are not artists in the traditional sense, so like not that you,
Right.
yeah. So like maybe there's more to the creative process being spoken to here, or like specifically even filmmaking, right? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could also just not be that deep. People might be projecting meaning into it, which is kind of what the
Yeah.
protagonist of this movie does, project a lot of meaning into it. But
So I guess in a way it's kind of fulfilling its role then, huh?
it really makes you think. What did you make of the beginning? Like, why show him being a dick so many repetitive times? Like, this movie didn't have to be 2 hours long, but it basically is.
Right. Right. So I mean, I think like hour 30, you could probably cut it under 90, if you're really on the chopping block, right? But yeah, like that sort of contributes. That's what I was saying before. Like I get not exhibition, exposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And like I understand exposition. That makes sense. And again, like it's sort of where the parallels to Naked like started being drawn, like almost immediately. But it just droned on. It was like, all right, cool, I get it. I felt the same way during Naked, but like Naked, it's the entire movie. Like these guys are just like
Yeah.
dickheads, and I'm like,
They're just hanging out.
like,
Yeah, they're just
right.
trolling.
They're just trolling,
Yeah.
and eventually you're just like, all right, these guys are just fucking trolls, right? Um,
Do you consider
I'm done.
yourself an
I'm done.
artist? Yeah, stop saying trolling.
Yeah, I'm
Do you
putting an
consider yourself an
embargo on the
artist?
word. No,
Not at all.
no. I I'm just not
You're
very
like,
artistically minded. No,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I think maybe the few things I could really find art in are in like numbers and
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I can't believe you just
and
said
like
that.
patterns. I don't know. Sorry.
I really like
Well,
my spreadsheets that I use for.
not
art.
that way. In like I don't know, in the way that numbers and patterns relate to one another.
Big fan of the Fibonacci sequence. Big Fibonacci guy.
Yeah. That is actually the only numbered sequence that occurs ever. But I don't know. I'm talking about more in like just design and like
No, I understand
modeling
what
and
you mean.
whatnot. But it's yeah, I don't know. I'm bad at explaining myself. But I'm not very good at poetry. I guess the most artistic thing I do is if I do the Wordle, which I don't do all the time, but if I do the Wordle, I'll make a haiku either about the word or like just
Wait,
omitting
really?
the word at the end. Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so for every Wordle that I've done, I do that. And that is like probably the most artistic thing that I do. But it's within
Wow.
like very like tight like strictures, right? Like I like having a firm structure to work within, you know. Um, it helps me be creative constructively. I don't
That's
know.
crazy.
It sounds weird when I explain that. I don't know. But yeah.
I didn't know that about you. That's crazy. Some of the
Yeah.
Wordle words are tough. So, like, tough to build a haiku around. But,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. They're all like one or two syllables, so they're easy to fit in like right at the end. So I'll sometimes do that.
can you share one
And
with us? With the class?
I don't know. I haven't done one recently. Do you want
I
me to
just
try
passed
to
my.
do today's Wordle and then?
Yes, please do that. That'll be way more interesting than us drone on about this movie. Although I do have another idea of this movie, but
Okay.
it took me
Well,
5 to solve today's Wordle. I just
I'm
passed my
probably gonna get
500
stuck
streak.
at like 3 or 4.
So,
Let's go.
hell yeah.
Woo! Oh, Jesus Christ.
Today's word was really hard, actually. So good luck.
Maybe I should narrate this instead of just doing this completely silently.
Yeah, come on.
Did
What was your
truck
starting word?
got the
Okay.
R. Pride got the RI. Grimy got the RI
Ooh.
space Y. Now
Okay.
now I'm like a little stuck, and this always happens. I always like run out of the sort of very obvious things. Briny maybe like salt, sea salt. We're trying it. Boom, briny 4.
Let's go! Look at you.
Go.
I choked on my spit saying that. You want to write a haiku? I'll put it in the show notes if you want. Since no one. Hey, yeah, there's show notes, by the way. I've had like several people tell me, yeah, I didn't even know that you wrote those.
Yeah, I didn't know that you wrote this.
I fucking hate you. I hate you so much. There's something about you that pisses me off on like a cellular level.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna tell ChatGPT to write a haiku with briny. We'll see
Okay.
whose is better.
Okay.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT just fucking owned you.
Damn. It's I don't know. I'm I often try to make them rhyme, so now I'm having trouble with the word shiny in the beginning. But I will
The
fit it in
sand is
there.
shiny.
Yeah. I was thinking sand, heart, sun. It's kind of hard to find things shiny. Pearls, I don't know.
The ocean waves can be shiny. This is incredible podcasting. This is our best episode.
This is so bad. This is horrible.
Somehow we're at 50 minutes, so we're good. Once I cut out all the dead air, we'll be at a clean 38. But go on.
All right, this is not my best work. A lost pearl shiny, in the sea feeling tiny, so very briny.
That's good. I like that. Although that's not a haiku, is it? Does that
575.
say your last line again?
So very briny.
Yeah, okay, you're right. I can't count. My bad. Good job. I like that you made all three rhyme. That's impressive.
Yeah, I usually try to do that. Either that or like I'll make them a pun or something. I don't know. It's funny to me. Sometimes I also will just like allude to the word. This one would probably work better as an illusion, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm tired.
Look at your creative process happening on
frazzled.
mic here. You know,
Yeah.
this podcast is art, right? It's a work of art.
You think so?
I think by definition, yeah, kind of.
I guess so.
It's freeform improv comedy with a theme.
That's true. I want to say I really actually appreciate you getting me to podcast.
Oh,
A single eyebrow raise. And it's sort of inspired me to want to do that with some of the other moments that I spend with my friends. Not just in like taking pictures with others, which I generally like. I don't really take pictures, but also with like video gaming with others. I'm like, oh man, it would be great if we could like clip that like last minute or whatever, just so like we had it. And I like pitched to my friends, and everyone's like, yeah, that'd be a pretty cool idea. So
hell yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna get
Ricky's
like
gonna
one
be
of
a
those
Twitch streamer
things
now.
that work for it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be a Twitch streamer, but my
He's gonna
one of
be
my
on
friends
Twitch.
Scrimp had like
Shout out
something
Scrimp.
that you could get like a shout out Scrimp, like a 1 minute clip. It's just like always running in the background, but it deletes after like a minute or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's like a dash cam is what that's called.
yeah, essentially. So that'd be actually really cool to have. So yeah.
Well, good. I'm happy I've bullied you into podcasting. Honestly, some of the best
Yeah,
things
hell
that have
yeah.
come in my life have come from me bullying somebody else into doing something. So
That's so insane to say.
and those people are better for it, and they admit it. So, you know,
True.
it's true. As far as this movie goes, in the context of art, I'm thinking maybe there's something here to be said or thought of, like your work of art getting away from you and like taking on new life.
Oh.
So, right, I am also not really. I don't really consider myself an artist. I mean, I try to write. I've been trying to write my fucking screenplay for like months now, but yeah, I guess just like I'm thinking of what it would mean to have a photograph or a movie or a song take on a life of its own and like have it be dark-sided, and have this thing be contained in it, like a reading of it, for example, that you had never considered. I think of
Right.
like the Matrix, like the red pill kind of like inceldom, latching on to like some of the tenets of the Matrix, which is definitely not what they were going for there. As just an example
That's-
of like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was thinking more of like the whole countercultural. There was like, so this is gonna sound weird, but like there's like a subsect within the culture like fighting the counterculture, like the vocal majority of the culture, which is like fighting the counterculture. And with the counterculture of the Beatles, right? People saying if you played the track backwards, it had, like,
Anti-shout out the Beatles.
Anti-shout out the Beatles. It
Fuck
had
the
like
Beatles.
demonic messaging and whatnot. Maybe this
It
was some
does.
other band.
It has demonic. No.
could be
People
tripping.
definitely thought that about the Beatles. So
Right.
yeah.
And
The
so,
demonic
like, it's-
messaging in the Beatles is like, your boyfriend will think this music is good.
True.
Your shitty boyfriend.
Want to look like
will-
Ringo Starr.
Yeah. Your shithead boyfriend's gonna wear vests.
So I mean, but kind of in the way that this movie maybe has taken on a life of its own and gotten away from its original meaning, and people maybe have read too much into it in certain ways, and maybe people have read into it in other ways. I don't know. But
Yeah.
in the same way that it's taken on a life of its own, I don't know. That sort of like they never intended for that to happen, and like I mean, it definitely fed into their image, right? So like they didn't hate it, and I assume that the creator, like, he's not going to. I mean, like you leave something ambiguous for a reason. You're not going to like be like, nah, fuck no, I didn't mean for that to. Like,
Oh
be the
yeah,
message
no,
takeaway.
okay, yeah. Actually, yeah, that speaks deeply to me because anytime, and you should know this, being an RPG, occasional DM, like anytime you write something and then your players like infer a deeper meaning or they think you're really clever, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
did you set this up from like 5 weeks ago? And you're like, I don't know, guess you'll never find out. Like,
Did I?
yeah. When I definitely didn't. Have you ever seen those memes that
Yeah.
are like when you peek at the DM's notes and it just says like goblin with hat? Like,
Yeah. Question mark. Yeah.
yeah.
So I do that a lot. I honestly I love DMing just by like the seat of my pants. I think that's really fun.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. But one of my friends, like really occasional player, and like not very often is he like on the voice chats and whatnot. So I was like, you know what, like he's busy, no biggie. But like we read a lot of the same stuff, and so we like talk about that every now and again. But I was talking to him the other day, and I was like, hey man, I say the other day, this was like a year ago when I was running my campaign online, right?
Yeah, the other day.
Yeah,
It was another day, to be clear.
It was one other day. But yeah, I had said like, hey, would you want to like guest star on it? I know you don't really have a ton of time that you can like devote to it, but he's like, no, like for sure I can like make like 2 hours work, like 1 week, like 1 weekday, whenever. Sure, I can try to make it work. I was like, cool, excellent. And I was like, hey, if you want to like make a little backstory for your character, it doesn't have to be much, but like here are the different characters to choose from, like go from there. And he built such an elaborate backstory for his character. Like it was like pages and pages of notes he sent
That's
me. And I was
cool.
like, holy shit, dude! Like hell yes, we can make that work, 100%. And
Yeah.
immediately I was like, oh okay, like now we have a campaign like forever, and it's like a side campaign happening with like their main campaign. I was like,
That's
dude,
cool.
it's so perfect. Yeah, and he was like so chill about it too. He was like, yeah, nah, like, really perfect setup. And like he was even still, he was like, yeah, and I still have to kind of work out a little bit of like this stuff. And I was like, no, you don't have to do like anything else, dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that sort of like took on a life of its own there, and I really enjoyed that. I embraced it.
I mean, I do think that like writing a story for an RPG counts as art. Of course.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I like that it's collaborative, like you're mentioning. It's always fun to
Yeah.
have somebody who's like as bought in, who's like as fucking brain rotted about it, where they're like,
Yeah.
and then they had a sword, and then they had magical powers, and they get their magic powers from their fingernails, like all kinds of like, whatever bullshit they come up with.
There is actually a JoJo's character that gets magic powers from his fingernails. Tusk. Tusk Act 4 is when he when he farts. I'm not gonna. There's scenes devoted to him drinking tea afterwards to help his nails grow better for the keratin. Anyway, that's why I really enjoyed the TTRPG collab
Gonna
thing.
make me bleep that. God,
The
yeah.
beep.
No, that was
Yeah.
one of the best things I've ever organized that immediately
Yeah.
fell apart after I moved out of
Wow.
that town.
Yeah.
People just
But
don't.
it was really sweet when you were there. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Just because, like, going in there and having a bunch of players, like, all willing to, like, they're like actively looking for opportunities, like footholds, right? And it's like, oh, I'm more than
Yeah.
willing to give you something, man. Like, don't worry about it. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. A lot of fun.
Totally. Yeah.
This
we
movie did
have
not
anything-
give many footholds.
I was gonna say.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
like
feel
this
bad.
movie too much. Like final thoughts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't either. I wish I had picked Blowout. I think we would have had way more to talk about there. Although this movie
yeah.
did give me the idea that we should watch the original Psycho and the remake of Psycho.
Oh, is that Hitchcock?
The original is Hitchcock. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Someday, but not. We need a banger. Like Rick's pick has to be a fucking actual banger next.
I have an interesting Rick's pick.
Okay, that doesn't bode well.
Lane, have you seen Amadeus?
Oh, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen it.
Okay, I did just watch it.
I do love the
like,
poster for it. You're
it's
crazy.
I know you saw that poster on fucking social media. I know it.
I did.
I'm certain.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
Because I'm sure you did. Because I know that there's no way you had heard of this movie otherwise. Damn, I wish I hadn't blown
I've seen
out the
clips
mic
from
when
it
I did
before. All right, calm down.
that. Yeah. Okay, I did. I guess I watched this 9 months ago. It doesn't feel like it. God, time is fake. Yeah, I'll watch
right.
Amadeus.
All right,
Hell
sweet.
yeah! I think that's a great movie
Hell yeah.
for this podcast. That's a movie. That movie's fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. Okay, so we'll watch Amadeus 1984, directed by Milos Forman. It's a long one, Ricky. It's long. It's fucking long.
I'm looking forward to it. The
Okay.
Nostalgia Critic specifically parodies a scene.
All right,
from
I'm
this.
ending this.
Not
I'm
that
ending,
I watched that
I'm
guy.
ending the
I saw it
podcast
on Twitter.
right now.
I saw all this on Twitter.